Hey guys, this is Chris Lawton, Module 1, EDL 856. So a little background on myself. Grew up in Norwalk, Connecticut. I attended UConn. I'm a 13-year high school teacher in an urban school district in Connecticut. I teach AP US History, and I'm also the Social Studies Department Chair. I'm the co-chair of the school's chapter of the National Honor Society, and I'm the boys varsity head coach. I've been in that position since 2007 to present day. Husband and father of two boys. I have a kindergartner and first grader. My grandparents, parents, and myself and my children all went to or currently attend the school in the same town. My two boys will eventually end up at the same high school that I teach at, so I'm very invested in what goes on in the school and what goes on in the community. In terms of myself, I like to travel. I've traveled Europe extensively. Last summer I went to Greece, Italy, Montenegro. Hobbies, I love to play soccer, basketball, and exercise, and most importantly, I like to spend time with my family. So I'm going to get into communication and introductions. So the first question that was posed, what multiple forms of communication strategies for reaching a variety of stakeholder communities do you currently use? Primary one that I use is Google Classroom. I use it to post weekly assignments or to send messages or updates to my classes. The students can access on their school-provided Chromebooks, and students receive alerts via email or on their cell phone when something has been posted or edited on Google Classroom. This form of communication is provided by the district, so the students stay up to date with that, and if anything changes, they're immediately notified and they can check that. The second form of communication that I primarily use is school email. I use this especially to communicate with parents regarding their child's performance in the class. I also use it to email students on their school-issued accounts to set up extra help sessions or to answer questions that they may have. And this form of communication is also provided by the district. I wish we were allowed to use Twitter to communicate with classes, as this is a form of media that's widely used by high school students. It's also a form of media they can easily relate to. However, our district does not allow us to use it. Next question, how does this information shared impact your introductions in your professional life? When we meet new people in a professional setting, it is true that we all follow the same mundane introductions about ourselves that includes our name and job title. The problem with this is we meet numerous people, however, we never remember anyone's name or anything unique that makes that person stand out. The authors in the provided articles brought up interesting ways in which we can make an unforgettable or memorable introduction that will lead to more meaningful dialogue or a connection. Moving forward, I will certainly use some of the strategies provided in order to create a more thoughtful and meaningful introduction that will hopefully set myself apart from others and cast myself in a favorable light. What methods might you use to introduce yourself as a new building leader? I remember sitting in the audience when my current principal introduced himself on the first day of school. The vast majority of the staff had never met him, nor did we know much about him going into the school year, as he was hired from a different state. As we sat there and waited to hear him speak, I'm sure many of us were consciously or subconsciously going to make a decision about his ability to lead our school based on his first impression introduction. I was expecting him to stand up and tell us all his credentials and how he turned around the last school he was at and how he was going to do the same thing for our school. However, he didn't do any of that. He told us a story about his childhood and how it contributed to him becoming a teacher and eventually a school principal. I recall sitting in the audience that day and being so enthralled in his story, and yet at the same time being able to relate to the same reasons and emotions to why I became a teacher as well. In hindsight, this was a great first impression because it really set the tone for the type of principal he was going to be and his philosophy on teaching. Based on that introduction, it really helped him get off on the right foot with the staff because we all felt the same connection and emotion that he was able to convey through storytelling. Lastly, that story was told over 8 years ago, and I can still vividly remember what he said and how I felt sitting in that audience. Therefore, as a future building leader, I would use storytelling to introduce myself and build that connection with my staff. Do you follow a set of district strategic policies for communicating effectively? Why or why not? Yes, I follow my district's policies on communicating effectively. by abiding by acceptable uses of communication and avoiding unacceptable uses of communication, i.e. Instagram, Snapchat, etc. My primary use of communication as a teacher is Google Classroom and Outlook email. Below are the references used for this presentation. Thank you for listening.